came from somewhere else. And that's part of the supply chain that brings goods from where they come from, usually a warehouse. So this is a map of the supply chain of Visayas. So there's actually a laser pointer, but let's see if it will reach the, parang hindi na siya umaabot na. It's absorbed. It absorbs the light. Okay, so you can see there, the little houses are, the red house, a warehouse, and then the green houses are staging facilities. So, and then you need transportation vehicles, the trucks over land, ship over water, and airplane over the air to transport the goods from the warehouse to the staging facilities, and then from the staging facilities to the towns where the demand is needed. These are the circles, and the transportation network is crucial to that supply chain. So we focused on the Visayas region, which is, but of course we will plan to generalize the whole Philippines. The Visayas region is special, as you know, because it's composed of many separate islands. It's also prone to natural hazards. We just, of course, had the super typhoon Haiyan and typhoons come regularly. And, for example, the Bohol earthquake, which is also a natural disaster. And these 9 major islands are connected by land, sea, and air routes, as we've mapped in the map over here. And we've also mapped the town centers. For Visayas, there are 6 cities and 369 municipalities. And we actually found we put a pin on the center of the town that is not the geographical centers, but where actually the center of the town is, meaning that's where the market is, the plaza is, the church, the population is most dense. And even from just that mapping, you can see here that most of our town centers are along the coasts of the islands, because that's where also maritime trade happens. It's accessible to the sea routes. But there are also few town centers that are inland, and that's relevant to our problem, because then it will take a longer time, could take a longer time to reach them. So we've also mapped the important transportation ports. So there are 5 airports, 52 seaports, actually 5 town centers with an airport, 52 town centers with a seaport, and 4 town centers with a food hub, which is a DSWD assigned warehouse where relief supplies are stored and pre-positioned so that they can be distributed in the event of a disaster. Okay, I'm showing you some early results. And what we did here is we assigned each town center to a food hub. Basically, all the people, if you're living in one of these town centers, if you need supply, then it would come from a food hub. So that's the thinking. And it's a question of which food hub it will come from. So the first scenario is, of course, the ideal scenario is it will come from the food hub that's nearest to you, in terms of it has the shortest travel time to you, so that it will get to you the fastest. You also consider the practical scenario, scenario B, where, because this food hub can be from a different region. But usually the course of the hierarchy of responsibilities is you are assigned to your town is assigned to your province, and your province is assigned to your regional RDRRMC. May NDRMC, national, and then may regional, and may provincial, and then may provincial, and then there are the LGUs. So in scenario B, we assign the town center to the food hub that has the shortest travel time within the region. And so you can see, for example, unfortunately, we don't have a laser pointer, but if you look at the western side, and there in this line, so it was assigned actually to, to the food hub down here, because there's a faster sea route to get there. But on scenario B, it will be assigned to one in its own region. Can someone tell me what city that is? Okay, find out. And then the distribution. Okay, and now these are the distribution of travel times. You can actually just make a histogram, and on the right side, cumulative distribution of the travel time it takes to reach the town center, okay, from the food hub that was assigned to you. And you can see here it's in terms of hours, so it goes from 0 to 12 hours. So for these ones, so for most town centers, it will get to you within, let's say, 4 hours. Actually, the median is around, the median is around 8 hours. So that's actually a long time already. And then these ones here, town centers over here, are actually more than 8 hours away from the food hub. And then you even have this bunch of town centers here, which are not connected to the food hub by the routes, by the major routes which we have mapped. So these are town centers which are in islands, in minor islands, where you really have to have like a small bangka to reach them. So they're actually very, very important to not to consider during these times, especially Haiyan. And here we can actually quantify them. And the difference between the blue and the red is the two scenarios. So for the scenario A, the nearest hub, we have the blue histogram, and if you assign to within region, it's the red histogram. So there are some towns where it will take longer, right? And so the red curve is higher than the blue curve. But the medians are actually similar. So this shows you the impact of having to assign to the nearest food hub in your own region. Of course, we can do this analysis by adding more food hubs, because essentially what this is saying is that 4 food hubs are not enough to cover the whole region in a reasonable amount of time. Okay, and then what we want to see actually is the robustness of the transportation network given disaster scenario. So when a typhoon hits, it actually damages the transportation network itself. So roads are blocked, or an airport cannot be used, and that actually delays the delivery of the relief goods significantly. So we simulated that by getting the path of the Typhoon Haiyan, and the area covered, given its strength. And then we destroyed, so yeah, in the simulation, you can destroy nodes or take out the nodes in the transportation network along that path with a given probability, and then run the distribution with that destroyed transportation network. And here are some preliminary results where, again, you have the travel time to the town centers, the affected town centers, and the black line is the baseline, meaning without any damage, which now we can compare with we can see the effect of the damage with the red line. The red curve here is for 10 simulations, and you can see the increase in the time it takes to reach these, in a way, farthest town centers. And here in the bottom, you can see this is the distribution, the number of town centers per travel time, and here the infinite part are the number of town centers that you cannot reach, and you can see that it spikes with the impact because actually destroying some nodes disconnects some of the town centers, and then it becomes very hard to reach those people. And we can also we can actually also get the population affected, so you know the population of each town center. So this is actually saying that giving us a quantitative picture of the robustness of the transportation network given these possible disruptions due to natural disasters. And it's just this is ongoing work, so we will of course get more results and try to get some scaling laws from these results, and hope to publish sometime this year. But basically, I think this is an example of datafying the Philippines, meaning we're actually making a quantitative model based on actual data relevant for this part of the country, and then making some approximations of real-world scenarios to look at impacts. All right, and then maybe say something about. Okay, there's a big gap, but then it's the first step in, for example, giving context or giving advice on policy recommendations for this issue. Okay, and here I'm just showing the other studies that we can do with this data, looking at the transportation network as a network. So on the left you have a network representation of Visayas, and you can see, in fact, of Region 8, and you can see the different provinces colored with different provinces, and then the size of the nodes. So each node is a town or city, and the size of the node is actually the eigencentrality measure, which says how important that node is. Meaning, if many of the routes go through the town, then the town is more central, and it shows you that, for example, Tacloban City is in this, and this cluster here is very important to the transportation network of Region 8, because everything has to go through Tacloban City. On the right are some maps, visualizations of the road networks naman of Cebu and Bohol. And here, the size of the road, the thickness of the road is also a measure of how central that road is. So again, if you need to get from one place to another, these are like, it actually looks like arteries, means that these are the ones that are always used. And so again, they're most important. If they are destroyed, then you have to, one way to think about it is you have to prioritize clearing these roads because they are important to the lifeblood of the whole region. Okay, now I'll switch to talking about some initiatives in communicating science and basically making science less alien to Filipinos. And actually my first project in this regard was mentioned earlier. It's just a simple website called Pinoy Scientists. Can go to pinoyscientist.com, and every week a new profile of a Filipino scientist is posted, and they share what they do, their path of getting there, and something about their life. And they have photos also to make them sort of to introduce them to more people. And we now also have a Facebook page, so it's also Pinoy Scientists on Facebook. So follow us. And the idea here is that everyone can be a scientist. So before or usually when we think of scientists, we think of white men with white hair, with lab coat, with glasses. So very stereotype idea of a scientist. But here you're lucky to have met some scientists today. And the idea here is that we are bringing more role models, scientists, to more people by taking where the people are, which is apparently on Facebook. So follow us, and you get to meet all these cool scientists doing cool stuff. My own field is astronomy, so I decided so now I'm working on a book on astronomy for everyone. The title is May Alien Ba? And other questions about the universe. And I actually called for questions. In fact, if you have a question about space, about anything, about the universe, you can submit your question to this tinyurl.com/may-alien-ba. And some of these questions will actually make it to the book. And it will be illustrated by my friend Se, who also did these beautiful illustrations. And in the meantime, I'm also giving talks about these questions. So I'm giving a series of talks in Ateneo. So the first one was May Alien Ba? Was last month. But there will be two more. May Forever Ba Ang Universe? Which is cosmology, and maybe parallel universes, eternity. Is there eternity? Is there an edge to the universe? So we continue both. But this is free and open to everyone. And then the third one, which will be in April, will be May Pag-asa Ba Tayo sa Mars? So the question is, can we colonize Mars and maybe even other planets and other stars in the galaxy? So you know that Elon Musk is one of the people trying to get us there with SpaceX. So talk about this stuff. You can register at the link, or just look for Rizal Library on Facebook, where the talks will be. And then finally, I want to share about this group that we put together, which is, and I think this is the most innovative of them all, is that we're bringing art and science together. So Trial and Error Art and Science Collective is a group of artists and scientists, and Julius Sempio will be speaking later. He's also a co-founder, and he's special because he's a scientist, but he's also an artist. So he makes comic books, and he got this group together. We actually have made these postcards of characters based on the elements from the periodic table. So you can find your favorite element and get your postcard. We haven't done them all, but we hope to get there this year. We have like 40 plus. And you can find these at the Unilab Foundation booth right near the entrance. We also made these solar system cards and solar system stickers. So please check them out. We're also on Facebook, Trident Art and Science Collective. Yes, and finally, teaming up with Unilab Foundation. So again, the booth is just over there. You'll be there after this talk. And we're also trying to get other people who are enthusiastic and want to share their love of science to participate in programs where we do STEM outreach and STEM education. And we've already had a lot of sign-ups. But if you're interested, again, there's this website or message me on Facebook, and we'll have like a welcome luncheon in April, and I hope to see some of you there. So I'll end here. Pass by our booth if you want to chat, and thank you for again for the time and the attention.
Alright, thank you, Dr. Reina Reyes, for sharing your notable research with us and some insights as well. Now the floor is open for questions.
Sige, so the question is, parang, maybe let's just put it this way. If you want to become an astronomer or an astrophysicist, like what's the career path and how do you get there? And what you're saying is, in fact, I think is that it's not, maybe not many people are doing that. Okay, and the question is why? Actually, okay, mas mahirap yung why eh. Pero what I would say is that astrophysics is a subfield of physics. Okay, so it's one of the research areas that you can go to as a physicist. So for example, in my case, I took up physics in college, and then it was in the PhD, the graduate school, where you choose a specialization in your field, and in my case, it was astrophysics. It could also be particle physics, condensed matter physics, plasma physics, and this specialization just comes with time. And kumbaga, yun nga, it actually comes in graduate school. So maybe one thing to say is that, and that's also why what I encourage young people to do is to continue their studies into graduate school in whatever field you choose, including astrophysics, if it is astrophysics. And of course, there are, of course, challenges to that. You have to apply, get accepted, but it's actually very doable now, and a lot of, I think, college students are, hopefully more and more are considering it as an option. Of course, the alternative is to work or start working, and many, of course, choose that. But more and more, I think, we want to encourage more and more science majors in college to pursue a graduate degree in science, and that's where you become a scientist. And astronomy is just one of the fields, right? So, meron talagang funnel. Yeah, please. Take a question from the audience.
I have another question.
Okay.
Since you studied
Sorry,
astrophysics,
from the audience or from you?
from the audience,
From the audience, okay.
since you you delved into astrophysics, what made you interested and engaged in disaster risk management through data science?
Yes, good question. Layo nung jump, di ba? But actually, if you think about it, number one, all knowledge is connected. But number two, my research in astronomy is actually data analysis. So we study the galaxies from the Sloan Digital Sky Survey, and we use data science, essentially data science, data analysis tools to make these discoveries, including the one where we tested Einstein's theory of general relativity on large scales. It's actually it's actually a data science project, but in the field of astronomy. So when essentially I shifted from data science in astronomy to data science in here on Earth, just looking at data here on Earth from different sources. And one of the projects that came to bear was actually, this particular project was born out of Typhoon Yolanda. So that was 2013. I was still in the US, and a friend, colleague, also wanted to do a study, and so we collaborated on starting relief ops, and that's now I'm continuing it in this way from the network physics point of view. So, so that's the story. And now I'm also consulting for industry, so using data science tools to get insights out of financial data, commerce data, telco data, and that's the job of a data scientist, which is basically I shifted from being an astrophysicist to a data scientist. So I hope that sort of clears that. But it's related because we're still dealing with data, but now we're applying it to different areas. Thank you for the question.
Ma'am, we still have another question. What do you think is the biggest challenge faced by Pinoy scientists these days?
Yes. So it depends who you ask. But the Pinoy, a scientist's life or like career is actually common. What's common to all is we want to produce science. We want to do research. We want to write papers that contribute to knowledge. And the challenge, of course, is that that's not easy. You need, of course, you need time, you need resources, you need good students. In many cases, you need equipment. And now, if you want to get practical, the getting of equipment is one of the parang hardest parts because usually you have to import it from abroad and then you have to go through procurement. And by the time it gets here, if it gets here, your project is finished. That's like 1 year. And science moves fast. And so we have to improve the infrastructure so that it's more friendly to scientists who are trying to do research here in the country.
We have another question from the audience.
Sorry, ano ko pala doon, yung isa kong addendum doon is, for my case, so I don't need equipment because I deal with data, but I need computers and I need fast internet because I have to connect to the server, right? So for me, the challenge is fast internet. May nakikinig na telco.
Okay, ma'am. Good afternoon. I'm Rex Joseph Batang from St. Paul College, Island Park, a science teacher. Ma'am, may questions about, despite that we really have good scientists here, at the same time we have good, like that investigatory project, inventions, but despite of it, how come that we still patronize the technology abroad? And then, example, our problem regarding in the transportation. Still, they patronize the technology of the new technology abroad. So I know that there are already projects or research or inventions by our local scientists. And what might be the factor that of course, our leaders, or that they still patronize those things. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. No, I understand where it's coming from. It's actually, no, that's the, okay, so the perspective, I think, if you look kasi at the perspective, global perspective, there are countries where parang nauna sila, we call it, to have, so okay, one thing is well, the term is industrialized. Meaning, they have a strong industry that creates all of these technological products. And we don't have that strong industry here. So for example, let's not even go to the MRT, let's go to cars. So all our cars are imported from abroad because we don't make cars here, right? So the cars are Toyota, Mitsubishi is from Japan or Ford, from US or from Germany. So, and it's not to say this is the Philippines, right? So out of all the countries in the world, there are only a handful that produce all the cars for the world. So you actually make, there's a deeper point to your question, which is to say that as a country, you wanted to get to the point where we produce our own cars, like Korea did, and India is doing now, right? And that's parang part of that quote-unquote development. Because right now, it's like, can you buy a car made in the Philippines? Actually, there's no choice, right? Because we don't produce the cars yet. We don't even produce. So a lot of these are, of course, good ideas, right? But it takes, you have to test the car to make it something that you can use every day. And so only a few countries actually have that capacity. And the question now is, how do we encourage our own local industry to grow, to be able to supply that? Yes? So the question is, the answer is, we're not there yet. But you have a point that we have to at least make the steps to get there. Yes?
Kasi I just remember in the perspective, like in China, how they start the industrialization during the time of So, they try to, of course, they let yung mga foreign companies to come in their country, and then after that, parang there's an agreement that, okay, we're going to let you enter our country to come up with a business, but you have to teach us how this technology transfer. So, is there any possibility? Because if that is the case, we are not yet there, so there might be a problem regarding yung mga local scientists. Siyempre, mawawala sila ng opportunity in the Philippines. And who will benefit? The one who will benefit are, of course, in other countries. So that's the sad reality. I think, ma'am, I think it's time, kumbaga, it's already yung time na natin, this is already the right time to raise that issue, that it's time for us to support these local scientists, support their invention, support their project. Because when will be that time? Kasi I always, kumbaga naririnig ko for the past 3 administration, laging ganyan. So I hope this time magkaroon ka talaga. Thank you, sir.
I think we can only entertain one last question.
Good afternoon, ma'am. I am Joseph. I am a senior high school teacher. Ma'am, as you have said a while ago na sinabi niyo po, ma'am, na marami pong difficulties ang hinaharap po ng isang scientist. No? And I know that we can agree na since ako po I was a previous master student from UP, also taking physics, ma'am, we can both agree na alam po natin na that doing research lalo na in physics is time constraining, and it is very tiring, and it is a very long process to do. Bilang sa mga students mo na nandito and sa mga teachers mo na nandito, ma'am, what can you say about the future of science education, science research? And I want you to be specific, ma'am, lalo na po in physics. Alam naman po natin, ma'am, na napakababa po na survival rate ng physics majors pagdating po sa pag-aaral ng undergraduate. So what can you say about somehow the future? So para ma-encourage din po itong mga bata na which is in the STEM field to take, especially in physics.
No, yeah, definitely. Mahirap. Totoo kasi sabi yung physics mahirap. Tapos parang hindi naman. Pero nung nagturo ako, like mahirap nga. So, pero but that's the thing. It doesn't mean na mahirap siya. It's not negative. Meaning there is, actually, mahirap yun, pero kaya ko. It's different, di ba? Different yung mahirap yun, so, hindi ko kaya yun. Pero when you say mahirap yun, pero kaya ko yun, so it actually brings you to a higher level, right? Because it's a challenge that you have to overcome. Eh kung madali lang yun, it's not an achievement, kasi madali lang nagawa mo eh. Okay, madali lang nagawa mo, okay lang, di ba? I mean, ano ngayon? Pero mahirap, tas nagawa mo. That's something, di ba? That's something. And all of these projects, mahirap, pero nagawa, natapos, may nangyari, may nakuha. And I think that's, well, that's one, di ba, view on that. Pero actually, what's encouraging to me is just the numbers. So at NIP, even despite the survival rate, you will actually graduate around 100 physics graduates a year. And that's grown from our time when it's like 20, 40 is already big. And now with the STEM track in senior high, and we're also getting more mature, like here, grade 12 students here, these are, you used to be in our time, you were second year college na, di ba? But then the time you got to college, you're more mature and hopefully more also capable of overcoming the challenges of your major, and then hopefully even continuing on to grad school and becoming part of the science community or community of Pinoy scientists who will help us grow and build this community for build science in the Philippines for the next generation. So I think it's promising. May gap year lang, di ba? Kasi walang students. Pero now I think we'll start to see hopefully the positive impact of having more mature students coming to college. Thank you.